hear this in the rhythm of the harps. The trumpets. And you get this quite arcane sound. Again, Verdi is searching everywhere for local color. We have the slave girls singing the words that I just said to you, celebrating Radames. And in between each verse, Amneris, in an extremely, I would say, quasi-erotic musical phraseology, says, "Ah, come, my love, bring intoxication and blessed peace to my heart." And this phrase, it starts quite high on a high G for a mezzo-soprano. And we have the trembling strings. She sings that 3 times. Each time it gives an opportunity for the singer to vary it ever so slightly, very subtly, with different accents. Verdi has already put these unusual accents into the music, but the singer has a degree of liberty here to really, yes, make us feel the heat of the moment, this moment of expectation for his return. We talked about the dancing Moors, and this is this melody. A very, very brilliant dance with the flutes, the woodwinds, but there's always something military about it. Something that reminds us this is wartime, and there's the fever, the frenzy of war in the air. We come back to the music of the laurels. These are gorgeous phrases. Listen to the major now. Absolutely gorgeous. This time, the last time, Amneris will sing with the accompaniment of her slave girls around her. Again, the trembling of the strings, etc., etc. We are interrupted by the entrance of Aida, and we hear the Aida theme. But this time, as Amneris would hear it, in a very unexpected tessitura or range. She's coming. Silence. Now, the centerpiece, I think, of this second act, at least in this first part, is the confrontation of the 2 female characters. The Ethiopian princess Aida, who, unbeknownst to the Egyptians, is an Ethiopian princess. She's now a slave girl. But Amneris has her suspicions about her. She senses that Aida is attracted to Radames, this military leader that I spoke about. And we found out all about that in Act 1. But now she sets a little trap for Aida, because she doesn't really know if Aida is really in love with Radames, but she needs to find out. And in sympathetic tones and with an extremely sophisticated harmonic language, she feigns compassion to Aida. Oh, the fortunes of war have been unkind to your people. There's an ominous rumble. I share your pain. Listen to the harmonies that we've just passed through. Again, it's just slipping by. Because all of Amneris' music, or most of it, is actually where she's acting, where she's being duplicitous. I'm your friend, your soul amica tu. You'll have everything from me. You will live happily. And listen to this little ornamented phrase. Now, Aida has also heard the news, of course, of her family, of her father, her brothers. Well, she doesn't know what's exactly happened to them, but she knows that they've lost the war, and she's extremely agitated. Felice ancor possio, lungi dai suoi latio, dove no la sorte padre dei fratelli. What would opera be without the tremolo in the strings? It certainly gives theatre, doesn't it? Amneris tries to calm her down. Don't worry, time will heal everything. The worries of your heart. Did you hear that change to minor? Again, it sounds very compassionate, doesn't it? She's a brilliant actress. Or at least she has to be. Or is there a powerful God that will heal you? It's love. Again, she's trying to penetrate Aida's thoughts, and she does it very, very subtly. Now, we've heard the Aida motive in different guises. We've heard it like this, yes? With an air of mystery. At the mention of the word amore, Aida whispers to herself. It says, vivamente commossa. It's highly moved by these words. Amore, amore, gaudio, tormento, joy, torment, sweet rapture, but cruel worry. So, amore, amore, gaudio, tormento, suave brezza l'ansia. So Verdi speeds up this melody and turns it into something else. Just absolutely brilliant. Then we get a very Amneris-like gesture. Do you hear that? I'll play it again. It starts with this big, huge skip. Very grand it is. Dolce, sweetly trying to find out what's troubling Aida. Is there someone among the fighters that maybe she feels something for? See how she's pushing all the time. She says, but the war has not been cruel to all. Look what's happened to our military leader. He has been killed in the field. Meaning that it's to hurt her country's advantage. Da, da, da. When Aida hears this, she explodes. Radames e tuoi fu spento. Radames was killed. And she says, misera, misera, per sempre io piangerò. I will cry forever. She says, the gods are always against me, Aida says. And Amneris has got her. Hey! I've read into your heart. In corti lessi. You love him. Don't lie. Detto ancora è il vero saprà. Look me in the eyes. I was lying. coming to you. Radames, vive Radames, still lives. Aida. Oh, grazie ai miei, adagio, mentir tu speri. What is it about Italian opera and these incredible scenes between the two female characters throughout the history of Italian opera? Look at Bellini in Capulets and the Montagues, and in Norma, of course, and the great Rossini duet in Semiramide, just absolutely amazing. Donizetti, the Queens. Here, it's this Italian musical catfight is just makes for incredible, incredible theatre. But then Amneris reveals to Aida that yes, you love him, is true, but I love him too. Do you understand? Son tua rivale, I'm your rival, the daughter of the pharaohs. Mia rivale, e ben tu pure, anch'io son, I'm your rival too. It's incredible courage of Aida. What have I said? What have I said? And she realizes that, of course, that by loving Radames, she's going against her country, her family, her father. And so she asks for pity, because she has nothing now but love. Beautiful melody in its own right. We're in F minor. You'll listen to the flute, which gives a very velvety and sad tone. But against that, you have the breathless bassoon underneath it, and it's fantastic chamber music, actually, with an amazing intimacy. Verdi scores it like this because the answering phrase of Amneris is incredibly symphonic and vocally just overwhelming. She says, "Tremble, you evil slave, let your heart break. You have signed your death warrant." Okay, and so Aida has finished this. Now something very, very characteristic of this opera. Listen. In unison with the orchestra, very heavy. You feel all the power, the political power, the just really, just overwhelming force against who she thinks is a slave girl. So they sing, they continue in this vein in a duet mode, Amneris being much more agitated than Aida being asking for pity, and we hear in the distance, so we hear that march that we heard in Act 1 with these answers from the orchestra. So we hear a band from offstage and the chorus from offstage, wonderful spatial effect now, and these explosions in the pit orchestra. Against these choral phrases, Aida says something very, very cruel indeed. You will be prostrate on your knees in the dust, and I will be on the throne next to the king. Aida asks for more pity. These brilliantly scored legato, smooth in the bass, but very, very, very telling. And then with very victorious Amneris. Do you think that you can wrestle with me? Do you think you can beat me? So she tastes victory here, and she's got Aida just where she wants her. So apprenderai, you will learn to not mess with me. Lottar tu poi con me. A great feeling of musical unity. With her exit, Verdi brings us back to Aida's prayer from Act 1. But this time with so much more pain. There's no hope. Ends as the Act 1 aria of Aida ended. Then we have perhaps the most famous section of the entire opera, and this is the great scene, the victory scene, the triumphal march, the choruses, the pomp and the ceremony, but also the politics. This is an enormous scene, one of Verdi's hugest canvases, and he really pulls out the stops, certainly from an orchestration point of view. We have the sounds of bandas off stage, brass, of course. Again, this is now the sounds of war and the taste of victory. So it's something very, very rhythmic. Dun, 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 something almost like a competition between the offstage and the on. We are introduced to the enormous scale now of the music. There is loud, but with each part of this finale, the scenes get more and more imposing, certainly from a volume point of view. This is the chorus, but just with the banda, and like the march we heard in Act 1, this is something similar. Again with that commentary from the orchestra. Going to the minor there. This is confident music, this. This is victory music. And we also hear music that is contrasting. Weave the lotus and the laurel to form a crown for the victors. And this is a beautiful melody. With lovely accents there. So we have the different colors, the female chorus, the entire chorus with men, but then the female chorus alone. And these this creates incredible contrast, because just after that we are going to hear the absolutely implacable music of Ramphis, the high priest, with the other sacerdote, high priest. It's a fugue here. Again, another part. You get the idea. And this music is very, very strong, but it culminates in this invent an instrument. He asked a builder to conceive of trumpets that would be not only from an aesthetic point of view, because they're quite long, but also from a sound point of view, something brilliant and yet remarkably refined. The Aida trumpets that play the famous melody, we've heard it 1,000 times. They play accents, and they play little diminuendos too. They have quite a lot of dynamic range, surprisingly not. Now, there are dances. There are very warlike dances. You hear music like this. I'll play that better now. And has a bloodthirstiness, isn't it? Wonderful. So this first part is a purely orchestral and choral celebration of victory, and impressive it is, mighty, I would say. Then we get the king saluting the great hero Radames and handing over his daughter to him as reward for this victory. Then we get something quite a bit darker. We hear the music of the high priests, but it is the music that serves as the entrance music for the Ethiopian prisoners. And among those prisoners, Aida recognizes her father. Che vengo, egli, mio padre, suo padre. Now, we don't know that Amonasro, her father, or nobody on stage knows that he's the king. He says, "Be quiet, don't give me away." And he tells a false story how he watched his king die. And yes, the fate was against them, against the Ethiopians, and they lost the war. But he, in his music, is very, very strong. How could they not know that he's the king? But they don't. And he's very, very surprisingly subtle in his musicality here when he asks for mercy. Again, all of Verdi's harmonic ingenuity at play here. Listen. Wonderful D-flat chord there. Now, Verdi builds up these scenes to an incredible pitch. I think what makes these big, what we call concertati, or where you have soloists and chorus and all kinds of forces playing all at the same time, what makes these so successful is that Verdi was able to achieve, with all these people on stage, an incredible transparency. So yes, there are moments where you have the block of sound and it's meant to sort of hit you over the head, if you like. But we're able to absolutely pick out the individuals. Radames, who is, yes, he's there as the victor, but when he sees Aida, he says, in her grief, I love her even more. She looks even more beautiful to me. Again, Amneris noticing everything around her, nervous, and watching like a hawk the dynamic between Radames and Aida, all the while with this great pomp and ceremony. I think when you look at the score, and it is enormous canvas with so many different parts, the priests, the prisoners, the soloists, the people of Egypt. It is just really incredible, and through the use of rhythmic incisiveness, incredible arching melodies that really build and build and build and build. And again, with that noise factor, just with the sheer force of it, it really, really, really takes your breath away. But like I said, when you listen to the recording, our 2015 recording made in Rome on Warner Classics, and this is with Jonas Kaufmann together with Ludovic Tezier and Anja Harteros and Ekaterina Semenchuk, you will hear just absolutely artists who are really, really giving their all and trying to really capture an individuality in their performances. Oh, I forgot Erwin Schrott, of course, as Ramphis. Yes, like I said, one of the most successful and startlingly brave musical landscapes created by adding layers. There's rhythm, melody, female, male, spatial effects, but also politics. Radames wants to pardon the enemy. Ramphis, the priest, says no, they are vengeful people, and they'll want to get their revenge. Amonazra is keen, and he tells his daughter that he's keen to get his revenge. So all this is, everybody in some shape, manner or form is acting and not and really trying to put on a face that is perhaps not telling the real truth of the matter. Just and yet musically, just it's conceptually absolutely sound, fantastic, just absolutely brilliant. I hope you enjoy listening to this recording. It was just one of the greatest experiences of my life, and we've got acts 3 and 4 coming over the next 2 weeks. This is where Verdi reaches the absolute summit of his great artistry. So please don't miss next week, the same time. And thank you to IDAGIO for giving me this opportunity to talk to you. And please